All right, welcome everyone. Good morning. We're really happy to have you here at this very special IBPA and PubWest joint town hall. For those of you whom I've not met before, I'm Andrea Fleck-Nisbet. I'm the CEO of IBPA. And before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge what a testament it is to the strength of independent publishing and our respective communities that you all showed up here today. There are over 150 IBPA and PubWest members. It was, I think, 156 as of this morning who signed up to be a part of this event, which really demonstrates the level of commitment our members have to these two associations and the critical role the organizations play in providing community, education, advocacy, and tools for success for independent publishers. We know as a community that now more than ever, independent publishers need a place where we can come together with a collective voice to push for better market access, more distribution options, fairer terms with and transparency from our trading partners and service providers, the recognition of diverse and legitimate publishing models, stronger legislation to combat censorship, and honestly, a seat at the table with and among the rest of our peers in this industry. That's why we're so excited to be here today to bring you the opportunity to combine these two established independent publishing associations to create one powerful organization that can tackle the many, many challenges and opportunities that we as independent publishers face, regardless of our size, our catalog content, or our business model. So here to help me share the details of this collaboration are three of my colleagues, whom I will ask to introduce themselves in a moment, as well as many of the board directors from both IBPA and PubWest. Thank you all for being here to support us today. Before I do that, I just want to set a few ground rules since we are a large group and I know many of you will have questions. So number one, please keep your mics muted for the first part of the presentation. We will have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, and there will be open office hours tomorrow for both IBPA and PubWest members. At the end of the presentation, we'll let you know what times those respective office hours are happening and how you can sign up for them. But please save your questions until the end. Once we get to the end and we open it up for questions, we'll then ask you to either put your question into the chat or raise your hand, and someone on the IBPA team will call on you to speak. Also, please keep your questions brief, respectful, and relevant to the discussion topic. If for some reason we run out of time or you can't attend the open office hours tomorrow, please email your questions to us and we will respond right away. All right, so from there, I think we're ready to get started. Ty, I'm going to turn it over to you first for introductions. Welcome, Ty.
Thank you so much, Andrea. So hello, everyone. My name is Tyshina Davis. You can simply call me Ty, and I am the board chair for the Independent Book Publisher Association. It's an honor to be here. It's an exciting time for the association and an exciting time for independent publishing. And I'll pass it back over to you, Andrea.
Thank you. I also want to welcome Amy Barrett-Daffin, who is the president of PubWest. Welcome, Amy. Do you want to give a quick introduction?
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Barrett-Daffin. As Andrea said, the president of PubWest, the publisher of C&T Publishing. I'm super excited about this conversation today, so thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Amy. And last but not least, Michelle Cobb is the executive director at PubWest. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So I also want to introduce our board of directors, and Ty, I'm going to turn it over to you as our board chair to just give a quick introduction to our board members.
Absolutely. I don't have the perfect one word to sum up this dynamic group of professionals that we work with, but that is exactly who you see here. A dynamic group of publishing professionals, some of the smartest people I know, extremely resourceful, dedicated, committed to everything that IBPA and PubWest are set out to do in terms of their mission, values, and vision. So welcome our board of directors. I know a lot of you are here with us, and hopefully over time you'll get to know each person more greatly.
Thank you, Ty. And I'll just add to that, our board of directors is incredibly collaborative and has done an incredible job um, over time, but just in the last 2 years since I've been here, moving forward our strategic plan. I'm really grateful to them for their partnership and their willingness to roll up their sleeves and always get to work in making this organization a great place to be. So thank you. I also want to introduce you, for anyone who's not familiar with the IBPA staff. So at IBPA, we have 7 full-time employees, including myself. Terry Nathan is our Chief Operating Officer and has been with IBPA for almost 30 years. And he is the man behind the scenes, making sure that the organization runs on time and everything happens. So we're really grateful for Terry and all of his work. Lee Wind is our Chief Content Officer who oversees all of our programs and content creation. A lot of you know Lee from being an MC at a lot of the IBPA events that happen. He and I also partnered together to put together all the programming for IBPA Publishing University, which will be in the Twin Cities this year. And next, I want to introduce you to Christopher Locke, who is our Membership and Member Benefits Director. He also heads up our membership committee and is the host of the IBPA podcast. If you have never listened to that, it's very entertaining. So welcome, Christopher. And Adeline Louis is our communications and marketing director. She's the one who makes sure that all of our press releases get out, that all of our social media happens, that the e-blasts and newsletters go out on time every single day and all throughout the year. So thank you for that, Adeline. And then finally, we have Sean McDonald, who is our program coordinator, and Ashley Hero, who is our marketing coordinator, supporting the team. Beyond that, we also have for our support staff who do everything from vendor relations, design work, managing the IBPA independent magazine, and many, many other tasks. We could not get all of the programs out and do all of the work that we do without this amazing team. So thank you all. All right, from there, I'm going to hand it over to you, Amy, to talk a little bit about the PubWest board.
So the PubWest board has been, I've been serving with the PubWest board for 6 years, and this is my last year serving. They're a great group. They have lots of great ideas. They have helped us put together tremendous conferences, professional development. They have a lot of great ideas, and they are really wonderful to work with. They all bring a lot to the table. So I think it's a great group. I think most of them are also members of IBPA. So I think they're a great group.
Thank you, Amy. And Michelle, do you want to introduce your staff?
Sure. So I'm Michelle Cobb. We said that I sort of am the face of the organization from the executive director standpoint, but we are a team. So we also work with Joanna Lasquez, who handles all of our financials and our events management, and Janet Benson, who makes everything run in the background, from emails to making sure that your membership renewals are happening. So we are 3 part-time people, and we're very excited to be joining a much bigger team, hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, welcome everyone. So the IBP and PubWest Board of Directors, as I mentioned, unanimously voted to approve the combination of the 2 organizations. And so we wanted to take a little time to talk about why do this? Why bring these 2 organizations together? And I mentioned some of the reasons why it's important at the top of this meeting, but what I'd really like is for the leadership within the member groups to share their perspectives on why this is such an important moment in time for the 2 organizations. So Amy, I'm going to start by turning it over to you as the president of PubWest to talk a little bit about why, from your perspective and the leadership at PubWest, this is an exciting opportunity.
So I think one of the things that we did last year was we decided to really look inward at PubWest and see what was going on. We've been talking for years about rebranding, trying to have more of a national presence, trying to change our name, trying to grow our membership. And one of the things that we realized is that, and I think Joe Beal and Lee McDonald were the 2 people who did a bunch of the heavy lifting on this, is that our membership had been stagnant for decades, and we would add members, but members would leave, and that we really weren't growing the organization. And so that got us thinking that probably the smartest thing to do would be join forces with another organization to really have more of a national or even international presence and expand our reach and our offerings. And so we really wanted to change our, how we're branded, not being a Western United States organization. So that's why all those things were things we were looking at. And then we started thinking, well, to try to do that on our own would be really tough, but to join forces with an awesome organization like IBPA, that made a lot of sense. So that's how we got here.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for that insight from the PubWest perspective. Ty, I want to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about the thinking that you and the board of directors at IBPA have put into this decision.
Absolutely. And to Amy's point, we have been talking about the same thing over the past few years. I sat on the board of directors for 4 years, and I've currently been board chair for 4 or 5 months. And these same sort of conversations are coming up. We want global presence. We want to expand our offerings to the current membership. And it just makes sense to join forces with PubWest because there's something very specific and very special about what they offer to their membership. And we would like a piece of that pie, right? So why stay separated when we have what they need, they have what we need, and more importantly, together we have what all of the membership needs. So when I think about this holistically, it's just a great opportunity for independent publishers to have a one-stop shop, right? You don't need to go over here and go over there, but you go to this one place and get everything you need. And again, what I think is so special about joining forces with PubWest is they serve a very specific level of publishers, and we have some of them because there's an overlap, right? Some of them are also IBPA members. But then we have IBPA members who aren't PubWest members, and they also need what PubWest offers in terms of education and access. So I'm really, really excited about this because I think a lot of our members are going to benefit from the programs that PubWest offer and now to be available for everyone.
Thank you, Ty. Thanks for both of you speaking so passionately about this. So I want to talk a little bit about the member structure, how IBPA is structured today, and should the organizations combine efforts, what it will look like going forward. So right now, IBPA has 3 classes of membership. We have publishers, we have publisher partners, and we have associates. And those associates are a non-voting class of membership. In this new structure, we would still have the same 3 classes of members. So nothing would change from that perspective, but the publisher class would now include 2 distinct groups. So I want to talk a little bit about what those groups would be and how we're defining them. So the first group of publishers will include author publishers and independent publishers who have fewer than 10 titles, less than 3 authors whom they publish, and a limited distribution solution. So oftentimes these are publishers who may be just starting out in the industry, or they're keeping their business model smaller for a certain reason, and they have specific needs related around their model of publishing. This group will have access to all the programs, services, and benefits that all IBPA publishers currently have. So nothing changes from that perspective. If you are a member of IBPA as part of our publishing class today, every single benefit, every single offering, every single educational opportunity that we currently offer today will still be available to you when this combination occurs. In addition to that, to Ty's point, we'll be transferring over some new benefits and services that PubWest currently has that we are not offering today. So there will be new benefits and new services and programs that come alongside that will be available to this particular group. The second group of publishers will include publishers who have more than 10 titles, publish more than 3 authors, and have a multi-channel distribution model that may be satisfied through a traditional distribution relationship or by handling their own distribution. These publishers will have access to all the current IBPA services and benefits, plus additional programs that address the unique needs of larger publishing organizations. Things like executive education for leadership and staff, peer-to-peer networking, advocacy initiatives specifically to effectively partner with your distributor, and new regional trade show offerings. These are just a couple of the things that will be part of that tier of membership. Our publisher partner class will remain the same. They will continue to be a voting class of IBPA, and they include service providers who are providing a range of different offerings for our members, including editorial design and production services, printing services, distribution, and SaaS platform services. This class of membership will, again, have access to all the same services and benefits that they have today, so nothing changes for this group as well. And then finally, our publishing associates include authors, future publishers, and friends of the industry today. One group that PubWest have, which we don't have, which I think is really fantastic, is a special discount for students. So we're going to add that on going forward. We will also have a special rate for any student where they can get a reduced rate membership and have access to everything that the publishing associate class has. They will need to show proof of current academic status in order to do that. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the proposed dues structure. And again, there's not a lot that's actually changing here, and it should work fairly seamlessly. Following the proposed combination of the two associations, the dues structure will remain the same for all current IBPA member types. So the annual membership rate right now for an IBPA publisher class is $155. That will stay exactly the same for everyone in that publishing class, except for those qualifying publishers who elect to join the publisher group with added programming. So those dues will match PubWest's current dues structure. And I want to be really clear about this. If you're a member of IBPA right now and you are eligible to be part of that group of publishers, but you're not interested in it, you want to stay where you are and continuing to use IBPA benefits and services that you have today, you don't have to join that group. So you can still stay where you are. It's only for publishers who qualify and elect to move into that other group. And then for the other two classes, those dues will remain the same as well for the publisher partner group, and also for our associate class, we will have a new special discounted rate for students. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to Michelle. We're going to walk you through the timeline of what would happen should we combine, and then talk a little bit about those programs and services and how they will migrate over from PubWest. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Michelle.
Thanks. So August, September, we've made it through those months, and both of our boards voted to move forward this combination of associations. We're here today talking about it. So here we are in November, and where the heck did 2024 go? I don't know. But next week on November 13th, that's Wednesday, PubWest members will vote on the combination of entities. So we encourage you, if you are a voting member, publisher at PubWest, please come. We have a minimum required number of people who have to be in attendance to make that vote. And we strongly encourage you to register and make sure that you're there. We cannot do any proxy votes. You have to be there to vote. Then on November 19th, IBPA will have their own vote. And then we will, assuming everything goes forward, we will make the announcement and we will start to take the steps to combine those entities. Nothing will be combined until July. So we will continue to have two sets of programming. The big dates I want to point out are in February. PubWest, we're going to be in New Orleans, February 11 through 13. And if you're in the Northeast like me, you know going south in February is really, really fun. So if you are a member of IBPA or a member of PubWest, please make sure that you sign up for our conference. We're going to be focusing on finance stuff, so it should be really illuminating. And this is high-level programming, you know, to really understand everything from what should I do if I want to sell my company to how do I get the best return on investment of my backlist titles. Then we're going to encourage everyone to also attend the IBPA Publishing University in the Twin Cities in May. Much better to go to the Twin Cities in May than in February, and we hope to see you there with lots of programming. And at both of those conferences will have, assuming that this all goes through with the combination, we'll have IBPA staff and PubWest there at both conferences to get to know you and to help you understand that transition. Then, as of July 1st, we will be a combined association. We're going to launch that new membership type. Myself and my team will be helping everyone transition in as we close out PubWest and get the new programming that will be part of IBPA that we know and love well in PubWest into the hands of everyone who will now be a member of IBPA. All right, that's it for me. Oh, programs and services. Yep, still me. Sorry. So we will be incorporating some things that people are very well, know and love well from PubWest. That includes things like our boot camp, which is a virtual conference that we do for people who are new to publishing to kind of give them an introduction on a particular topic or area. Things like our design awards, our Rittenhouse awards. So we have lots of different things that we've done at PubWest that are going to move into the IBPA offerings. So don't be concerned about the things that you love disappearing. We also have very special discounts and things that we will bring over as well. All right.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on programs before we talk about leadership and committees? Do we cover
Nope,
it?
I just saw that people have some questions. Go ahead and put those in the chat as we get to the end.
Thank you. All right. So just a couple more things, then we're going to open it up to you so that you can ask all of your burning questions. We did want to address the structure of both the board and the committee. So one thing I wanted to just say to everyone here on this call is that IBPA recognizes that key volunteers are the foundation of all that happens at IBPA. So it's really critical that the volunteer leaders from PubWest are incorporated into the organization so that there's strategical and tactical continuity as we're moving through this transition and beyond. Ty, I'm going to turn it over to you just for a moment because we've been talking a lot about how, from the board's perspective, we incorporate PubWest leadership into our board of directors.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned exactly what I was going to say. It's, super important for us to make sure that that strategic vision that PubWest is currently working on is integrated into the strategic vision that IBPA is currently working on. So as Andrea mentioned, we want to make sure that we ensure that continuity. And with that, we will hold 2 seats for PubWest board directors. So anyone that currently serves on the board of directors for PubWest is eligible to apply to become a board director for IBPA for the upcoming fiscal year. We currently just went through the application process, the recruitment process that closed on October 31st. So now our nominating committee / governance committee will review those applications. And I believe we received 4 applications from current PubWest. I call them BODs, board of directors. And, again, we're going to make sure that whoever we select definitely aligns with the current strategic goals that IBPA already have in place. Some of those things that would kind of be left over, if you will, from PubWest, and making sure that the skill sets, the expertise, the influence, the access is in great alignment with our strategic goals.
Great. Thank you so much, Ty. And alongside of the plan for the board of directors, I just want to talk a little bit about IBPA's current committee structure and how that will change as we potentially make this transition. So currently at IBPA, we have 2 different types of committees. They're committees of the board, which include the executive committee, the governance committee, and the finance committee. And then we have member committees. So the member committees are the committees that are on the ground really doing the work to move our programs and services forward. Those include our DEI committee, our editorial advisory committee, our industry advisory committee, legislation and standards, and membership committees. So we have a lot of committees doing a lot of work here at IBPA. Not a lot will change with this new structure, but what we will have is for each publisher group, for each of those publisher types, we will have a small advisory committee, and their role will really be to identify what are the unique needs and opportunities for this particular group, and then to advise the board and the staff on the programs and services and benefits that that specific group needs. So they're really there to be the advocate within the organization for that group of publishers. The rest of our committees will continue the work that they're currently doing to serve the organization and the industry. There's a lot going on right now from our Legislation and Standards Committee, the work our DEI committee is doing in conjunction with BISG and beyond. We have a lot that we're doing from an advocacy perspective, so it's really important that we continue that work as well into the future. All right, so I think that covers it for committees, for leadership within the organization. I know a lot of you have questions, so we're going to open up the floor for questions. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge that the combining of these two organizations is a work in progress. So we've gotten to this point, which is awesome, but it still is all speculative until the members vote. So there's going to be a lot that will evolve should we decide that we're going to combine our two entities. And I want to bring that up because we may not have answers to all the questions that you asked today, but the awesome thing is that that's an opportunity for you as members to have input into what this organization looks like going forward. There'll be plenty of opportunity should this entity combination occur following this for you to fill out surveys, for you to provide feedback. So as we're developing the programming and the plan for integration, that you all as members have a voice, because as we always say, this is your organization. All right, so I would just ask you again to remember the ground rules as we're heading in. Either put your question in the chat. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and we will call on you, and we will try to get to everyone's questions before we wrap up today. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor.
Should we, there's a few questions in the chat, probably about 3 or 4 to get started.
Great.
I was thinking I could lob them to y'all.
Great.
I see. So we'll start with this one from David. What is the combined organization's name?
So the organization's name is going to be the Independent Book Publishers Association. And the reason that we're sticking with that name is because we've been around for over 40 years. We have a lot of brand equity. It is not a regional name, and it says exactly who we are. So there will be a refresh to the logo. So you will see some changes to the look and feel of IBPA, and also know that the names of the publisher groups is still being figured out. So it could be, right now we're calling them level 1 and level 2. We're open to suggestions. It could be a variety of things. So there will be some tweaking, but the organization will continue to be IBPA. So
Liz is asking, what are the dues? Sorry, go Andrea.
Okay, so yeah, so the dues for the new publisher category will mirror PubWest's dues right now. Our board of directors has to vote on those dues. So what I can tell you is that they are not going to go up from where they are right now. You all have 3 tiers based on employee size. We may collapse one of those tiers, but nobody's going to be paying more annually than they're paying right now, unless they're an IBPA member who wants to level up to that other group.
Angela Engel has her hand up.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it a lot. I've been an IBPA member and PubWest, so I'm excited, as I said. If many of you guys want to ask about our conference or something, please feel free to reach out. I maybe got lost in the chat. So I know there are plenty of overlap members, right, who are both. And I think our bigger question is, if our membership, so is essentially we're going to renew a due, but we have to kind of talk to you guys if another due is due, because essentially our due will be less, correct? Because we're going to, like, for example, when I'm up in April, I'm going to give you as an example, but I'm not the only member who has this question. So I have $400 or something that's due in April, right? Will that then I've already just paid my fall dues for IBPA. So I'm sort of curious how we can kind of look at this collectively, which is good, great, but how essentially eventually I wouldn't be paying an extra $200 or $150. Is that correct? Am I
Correct.
thinking?
Yeah.
Yes. So basically what we're going to do is if you're members of both organizations, when on July 1st, we will take whatever's left on your PubWest year, say it's 3 months just for ease, right? And so your IBPA membership will be extended 3 months to meet that extra time. So you won't have paid twice during, once we've combined, if that makes sense.
But what if your like dues, Michelle, are like due in April, like the fall? Wouldn't they be a whole year then? An extra year into?
So say your dues are due in April, and if you pay PubWest in April, right, then on July 1st, you will have, I'm just going to say 10 months left to make it easy. So your IBPA membership will be extended by 10 months.
I think I kind of, yes, I get it. It's fine. It's like not a big deal because then if we just renewed our membership with IBPA in the fall, it's a little mucky, but it's all good. I trust everyone's math.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the end, you will pay less. There's just this period. So we'll make you whole. Don't worry about it. We'll handle that on the back end for you.
Okay. Eventually in 2026, we'll be paying less.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it.
But just to reiterate Michelle's point, because it's important, we will honor the balance of the months that you have left. So we're going to extend your membership. You're not going to have to pay again once you get here because it's July 1st. It's going to be a little bit on the back end to figure it out. But I see, Ian, actually, you had a question about size and like how many members each organization has. We can manage this. It's not going to be a huge group, and we'll just have a spreadsheet and carefully manage and know and apply that to each of your accounts. I can speak to, because the membership is a changing target every single day for both organizations. And we just pulled these numbers. Christopher and I were just looking at them. So I can tell you that today, IBPA has 3,031 active accounts within the organization. That was as of a couple days ago. And Michelle, I don't know if you want to speak to PubWest.
Yeah, we have about 150 members.
There's a question in the chat from Carl asking if we will say more about the distribution mechanism needed to qualify for level 2 publisher membership.
Yeah, so we will have a definition that is clear for that as we're moving forward. The idea is that if you're a publisher and you're only utilizing something like Amazon KDP to access the market, your needs as a publisher are going to look very different from someone who has a big catalog and is having to advocate for themselves with their distributor or figure out like complex title management challenges or things of that nature. So it's really about ensuring that if you have a more traditional distribution model, or you're doing distribution for yourself, or you're managing multiple distribution channels, that you're part of that peer group that will help you to deal with those types of challenges. And again, we'll have clear definitions on exactly how we're defining that and make sure that that's posted as we go.
Michelle, maybe this is a question you can chime in on. Liz is asking what are the current due structures for PubWest if it's going to be mirrored for the level 2 publishers?
So our levels are dues for publishers with 1 to 2 members is $225. 3 to 5 is $325, and 4 employees and up, or 6 employees and up, is $550.
Thanks. And then there's a question from Jacqueline. What will happen to the PubWest website after the combination of entities?
Yes, we will be porting that URL to the IBPA for a period of time, probably at least a year, depending on when our renewal for the URL is up. So we will be redirecting people to IBPA, but we're not going to just poof off the face of the earth.
And then continuing my just emceeing the question, sorry, I just trying. Certainly, people, if you want to unmute, just raise your hand and we can unmute you too. But instead of that, if you're going to pop it in the chat, I'm happy to vocalize them. Peter is asking, are you going to be policing publisher credentials to get into that level too, or will publishers self-select when deciding which group to go into?
So we will, I will say, yes, we will be reviewing the applications for that particular level of publishing. So we're going to be looking at it, exactly how it works with our website. Again, that's the operational mechanism is still to be figured out. But yes, it will be essentially an application process where you're going through the website and you're saying, this is the number of titles I have, this is the number of authors I have, this is the mechanism for distribution, and then we will be reviewing those as they come through.
So maybe curated rather than policed.
Yes, exactly.
I will say we also work, my team and I also work with the Audio Publishers Association, and this is something that we're very used to, where you look at an application where it comes in, and if they've headed into the wrong direction, you work with them to get into the right place.
And I just want to piggyback on that. And I see, Peter, you have your hand up, but I want to piggyback on that to reiterate the fact that at IBPA, we have always been an inclusive organization. There is always a place for everybody. Even if you're not an active publisher right now, that's why we have the associate class of publishers for future publishers and authors. You have a home here at IBPA, regardless of how you're interacting with the publishing industry, unless you're a corporate publisher. So there is space for everyone in this tent. We're just trying to make sure that we are funneling the proper services and offerings and experiences to the group that's going to benefit from it the most. Peter, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks for those answers. I think this is a terrific idea with a lot of potential to really impact how publishing is conducted in the States. And I wonder if you could put this into context. Once the merger occurs, what is the sort of associational publishing landscape then? Where would this new organization fit in along with some of the other associations in the aggregate? How does everything stack up, and what does it look like once it's underway?
It's a really good question, Peter. And what I would say to that is that it's all about coalition building. It's about streamlining and coalition building. So the reason we want to do this is because we're two organizations that are so similar that it's almost a distraction for members. You know, where are you going for what programming? What benefits am I taking advantage of? We're trying to streamline that piece of it because we're so similar. But then beyond that, we need to work really closely with all of the other organizations and associations across this industry to ensure that independent publishers, as I said at the beginning, have a seat at the table. So whether that's access to BISG and the BISAC committee there to be able to affect meaningful change, or working more closely with AAP, or working closely with the Authors Guild. There are so many initiatives of different things that are happening, not only just here in the US, but also internationally. So we have a relationship with Ally. We're going to be building, should this go through, we're going to be building a partnership with the Independent Publishers Guild in the UK so that IBPA members will have access to information about the publishing space in the UK and in the EU. We're talking with the Sharjah Book Authority. We're, expanding into other areas where there are trade shows like Guadalajara we're doing this year. So the goal is to own our space and then to work with other associations, both in the United States and globally, to ensure that our members and independent publishers, regardless of whether they're members, have access to the tools that they need. It gets back to our mission, right? They have access to the tools and the advocacy and the education they need to run successful businesses. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, and I assume expanded vendor outreach as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely. I'll just add to that because Andrea and I have known each other through the book industry study group, book associations council, I guess. And, we now do, for instance, the PubWest conference, we do in conjunction with the Book Manufacturing Institute. Between Andrea and I, we're going to international conferences quite often now and hearing what's happening outside of the US and some of the initiatives that are happening, say, in Europe that will impact all publishers in North America, including independent publishers. So hopefully we can be bringing more knowledge together and be stronger together as we do this.
You need a roundtable of all these different associations, some giant international Zoom conference.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's a lot of them, that's for sure.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions in the chat, which I'll verbalize. This question is, I may have missed this, but can you tell me exactly what PubWest is bringing to IBPA and what they provide now to their members?
Well, certainly we bring a different set of programs. Again, we have the boot camp, we have the design awards, and our conference has focused on kind of a level of education for publishers that are established, the majority of whom have the things that we're talking about at this new level, which is 10 books in print, more than 3 authors or more, and that established distribution. Plus, we have some really fantastic and strong relationships with vendors, including having our conference in conjunction with the Book Manufacturing Institute. So we have a lot of great relationships with printers, with distributors, people that you want to get to know as you're making your business decisions. And we have some benefits, member benefits and discounts that you don't necessarily have. So we'll be bringing those over to IBPA too as well.
Michelle, I'm sorry, I stopped paying attention for a minute because I was looking at the chat, but did you mention the mentorship and the internship programs?
Yes, and we also have a mentorship program. So that's a 6-month program where we actually pair people in the industry together around a specific topic and have them meeting regularly and helping each other, supporting each other through their journey.
Can I give an example, Michelle, just so to give context? Hi, everyone. I'm Angela. A great example is my art director, Rachel, who's very seasoned, who's like designed and done production with Weldon Owen and stuff, it's been a member of PubWest for a very long time. And so she's now mentoring somebody who's fresh and green in design. So I think that if you think about Michelle, I'm so glad Helga is here from Central Avenue in the chat and some of us. And so, Andrea, if there are certain members that want to sort of talk to some of our board members, Michelle, I think Amy, you're still on. I'm sure many of us would be happy to kind of talk through what we've kind of gained out of it and why we're really excited to sort of be part also of IBPA. I think was said in the very beginning about just some of the things that we're missing out being part of your committees or just learning and listening about some of the really innovation that IBPA has also been a part of. And I think there's such benefit to that right away. So
Thanks,
anyways.
Michelle. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Angela, for that. It's interesting because I just wanted to talk about the mentorship program in particular. So I'm glad you shared your experience with it because it's something IBPA has been talking about doing for a long time. And we have the Innovative Voices program that we launched last year, which we're continuing to build and grow. And there's sort of an informal mentorship piece of that. But a mentorship program has been something that IBPA has wanted to do for a long time. And so PubWest will be bringing in all of that experience to help us to build that out.
I see that you put up the open office hour slides. Do you want to talk about that before we get to the next question?
Yeah, I did. And then I'm going to turn the slide off so we can see each other if anyone wants to actually speak with their voice. So just as a reminder, the open office hours, Friday, November 8th. So tomorrow, IBPAs will be from 10 to 11 a.m. And that is an error. It says Eastern. It is Pacific time. I apologize. So 10 to 11 Pacific are ours, and then PubWest's are 12 to 12:30. That's right, Michelle, right? Yours are 12 to 12:30 tomorrow. So just go to, if you're an IBPA member and you want to attend our open office hours, if there's something you didn't get to talk to or a question you didn't get to ask today, or you want to talk about something more in depth, you can go to the website under events and just sign up for it. Obviously, it's free. And we will be there. I will be there, and I will be happy to talk with anyone who wants to come in and chat. And then also,
I'll just say I'll put our the PubWest events page in the chat as well. You just scroll down and you'll just be able to click right from that page into the meeting tomorrow.
Thank you for that. And then in terms of emailing us, if you aren't able to go tomorrow and you still have a question, we're always accessible. So those are our email addresses down at the bottom. Please reach out to us and we will get back to you promptly to answer your questions. And that doesn't mean we have to go now. I just wanted to make sure that everyone has that information before I stop my sharing. All right, there we go.
And then Lauren had a question about finding representatives from each organization at the others conferences coming up. And yes, we will be at each other's conferences. So if you have questions, you can follow up directly with staff.
And the great thing will be by February, we'll be able to, assuming that you as members vote to make this happen, we'll be able to share with you the progress that's been made and talk through some of these operational details and questions you have around programming with in more detail and with more authority by that point.
Megan has a question. Can you speak more, please, about how the programming will be different between the two publishing levels? Will the PubWest conference continue with sessions relevant for both levels?
We will, I can say, probably look at putting it into one conference so that you have one place to go once a year to help you save on travel, but we'll have tracks within that. Again, we do this very successfully with other organizations to help guide people into the right place and make sure that they get the most benefit out of what they're doing. But a lot to be determined in those ends, but rest assured that you'll still get that high-level programming option at the conference.
Any other questions? Anyone want to raise their hand and ask something?
Richard had a question about will the Rittenhouse Award continue?
Yes.
That is the plan, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually asked the question about awards, Richard, and thank you for being here. Yes, so IBPA obviously has a very robust book award program that's been running for almost 4 decades. So we will continue the IBPA book awards, but we will be looking at all of the PubWest awards and continuing those as well. But there may be places where we may want to do some streamlining. So for example, as part of the IBPA book awards, we have a design category. You have a whole design awards program. So we may kind of bring those two pieces together, but the awards programs will continue. That is absolutely the intent. And there will likely be a committee that's helping us to make sure that we're integrating the two awards programs seamlessly. Mm-hmm. There's a nice little plug I was going to say there's a nice little plug for Jared's scalable book marketing course. Thank you, Martha, for mentioning that. It is a great offering we have. Jared will be happy you mentioned it.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the IBPA team. It's been really great to work with you all on bringing all of this together, and we're looking forward to working together more closely over the coming months.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We are so excited about this opportunity, and we just see it as a win-win for everybody. So hopefully you can all attend the votes next week and the week after and let your voices be heard so that we can move this forward.
All right, my friends. Well, hopefully we will see some of you tomorrow for the open office hours. Again, if you have any questions that you didn't think of today, but you want to make sure you ask them, please reach out to us. We're always accessible to all of you. And I really want to reiterate how exciting it is for me to see all of you show up and care about this and care about building out our organizations. It's a really critical moment for independent publishing, and there's so much opportunity, and that's why I'm excited for us to come together and really be unified and have one voice to advocate on behalf of all of you. So thank you.
And don't forget to come to the votes.
Yes, don't forget to vote.